Hello, my name is Sandra Carranza, and I'm the director and founder of Keystone Christian Schools. I'd like to welcome you here today. We do this video as a welcome piece, but also just so that we can start out on the same page. Who am I? What are we here for? Why are we here? You're going to get the answers to all of those questions. And then even after this short video, you'll be able to meet with one of our principals, and you'll be able to ask all the questions that we may not have covered in this video. So take a pencil, a piece of paper, and let's get going. We are Keystone Christian School. Our vision, or the main purpose of our school, is to partner with parents to do three things: to disciple, to teach, and to train the next generation of world changers. We believe that your children will be a part of that next generation that will change the world, no matter what realm of professional field they decide to go into. We want to make sure that wherever they're going for their futures, that they will be able to make a difference for God's kingdom. So again, partnering with parents to disciple, teach, and train the next generation of world changers. Who are we? Well, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I've been in Christian education for probably 45 years. I know I don't look old enough to do that, but it's true. Been a part of Christian schools for a long, long time. We are a preschool through 12th grade school. We start at 3-year-olds, but only, of course you could bring them when they're 3 if you wanted to at any point, but mainly bring them in when they're 5. That's when they need to be in school. If you don't work, keep them at home until they're 5. But we start with K-5, we go all the way through 12th grade. We have been in existence for quite some time now here in the city of El Paso. And the mission that God's given to us is that we will start schools in 10 different countries in the Americas. North America, South America, Central America, and of course our first schools are here in the city of El Paso, Texas. Our next schools will be in Juarez, Mexico. We're already making plans for the next school in Juarez, and there will be 3 schools here in El Paso. My background is I have a degree in education, bachelor's degree in education, and then I've got a master's degree in Christian school leadership, and then a doctorate degree in educational leadership. Of course, I'm not teaching your children, but the people that we hire are definitely people who are born again, spirit-filled Christians whose calling in life is to minister in a Christian school. So they have a lot of interest in the spiritual, mental, and physical success of your children. So the next question I'd like to answer after the what we are is, why are we? A lot of people think that a Christian school is just a regular school, that maybe you might pray early in the morning or pray before the meals, that sort of thing. But a Christian school is much more than that. First of all, it's a mandate from God. And we find many scriptures, Deuteronomy 6, verses 7 and 8, where it says that we're to train up our children in God's word when they are with us in the house, when they go to bed at night, which is easy for parents to do. But there's an added part which says that when they go by the way, we also have to be training them. So that just means 24/7 we have to be teaching our children about God's word and about how to live out God's word in their lives. And in a Christian school, that's exactly what we do. We partner with you, and so the work that you began at home and at church, we continue that 24/7. So that is truly Deuteronomy 6:7 Christian education. So that's one reason why. God's word, many places. The beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord. Blessed are those who don't walk in the way of sinners or scorners, but their delight is in the law of the Lord, and they meditate therein day and night. Psalm 1. Many scriptures that guide parents in where and how they should train up their children. And we're here to help you. As I said before in our vision statement, we're here to partner with you to disciple, teach, and train your children to be part of that next generation of world changers. So why? God's Word says so. What did God do with His own Son? And where was the first Christian school? Guess what? In the wilderness. God pulled out 3.5 million people from Egypt, and 40 years later, they entered the Promised Land. But guess what? Only 2 of those that started out entered the Promised Land. So we had the first Christian school in the wilderness. So all the older people had to die, and only the young people who had been trained in God's school were able to enter the Promised Land. So that's the second reason why. The third reason why is more and more today we see the problems of society and what is being taught to our children in public education. It's not a neutral system. You know, they decided to kick God out of the schools in 1967, but since that time, other spiritual forces have come into play in our public schools, unfortunately. And so it's no longer neutral. No longer you're not able to pray in school, but in addition, there's all kinds of doctrines that are actually anti-Christ. And so we don't want our children being trained under those philosophies. And so that would be the last reason why your children belong in a Christian school. So what happens at Keystone Christian School? What are we all about? Well, first of all, I can say to you that we're kind of a double school. We have what we call 5 core subjects, and those core subjects are Bible. Every day we begin our day with Bible. We have math, we have English, we have history, we have science. So those are the core subjects, which of course the Bible class is a spiritual training. But in addition to having spiritual training during Bible, we also put God's Word in every one of these other 4 subjects. So we give them a Christian perspective, or what we call a Christian worldview, regarding all subjects. God made everything. He has something to say about all of these different subjects. The second part of our education, I call it the fun part, and I do believe that schools should be rigorous, so it should be hard, not an easy thing, but at the same time, schools should always be fun. And so on the fun side, but also necessary side, every day in school we have second language instruction. So we do teach in the El Paso area, we teach Spanish, and they get Spanish from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So we're believing that they'll be fluent in Spanish by the time they graduate. Secondly, we have fine arts that would include vocal music, instrumental music, and art, and they get that every day. In addition, we have fitness. We believe that if we train the body correctly and teach our children to be healthy in what they eat and what they do, their movement, that their body will last a long time and they'll be able to make a big difference in the coming years. So that's number 3. Number 4 would be actually physical fitness. And so we are working their little bodies or their big bodies, if they're high schoolers, so that they can be physically fit through a program called Zoe, the Life of God, physical fitness. And then lastly, we teach them technology. So of course, students today need to be very adept, and a lot of times they come to us already very adept in the areas of technology, but we want all of those 5 additional courses for our students. So again, foreign language, fine arts, including vocal music, instrumental music, and art, fitness, and in that fitness, which I didn't mention before, we do have an athletic program. So if your child is gifted in the physical areas, we have an athletic program so that we can develop those skills and they can use those as their future profession. And then lastly, we want to make sure that they're technology savvy. Our program is so much fun because it is not, we don't sit and lecture to children or to students, to young adults. Our program is very interactive. It's very student active. So we're going to see your students are not going to be bored. They're going to be excited. They're going to learn to music, to rhythm, to stories, to drama. We're using all kinds of techniques so that school, though it be rigorous, it's also fun and it's very student active. That's one of the great things about our school that we love so much. But the next thing I want to share with you, because this always comes up, what about discipline? And I will say this, we believe that we are an extension of your home, and we believe in disciplining according to the scriptures. So whether it be disciplining for a child to be more diligent in their work, more responsible with their work, more careful with what they say, more careful with their actions, we are always going to base our teaching, and first we will give them the teaching from the scriptures. So instead of saying, oh, it's not nice to do this or that, we're going to say, you are like a mighty man because you bridle your tongue. Or in your tongue is the law of kindness. Or you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So it's a very positive biblical way to discipline our children. And hopefully that's what you're doing at home. So we just complement what you're already doing at home. Of course, we have both incentives for great behavior and for great work. And of course, we also have consequences when the opposite is happening. But all of these are done in a very positive manner, and we always tell the children who they are according to God's word. We will never, ever use negative tones with your children. We're always going to say, that's not who you are. You are a righteous, honest child of God. You love others more than you love yourself, etc., etc. In addition to that, of course, and I do need to talk about this, we don't like it, but we have to talk about it. If things get really rough discipline-wise, obviously, first thing we're going to do is call you in, and we're going to develop a plan for changing whatever the behaviors might be, okay? Before any of that, though, there's weeks of training that goes on, because especially with your younger children, they've never been in a school where they have to raise their hand before they speak, right? I don't believe that at your dinner table they're saying, can I speak next? No. So there are a lot of habits that we have to train them in first. Then after we've done sufficient training, and then we expect the results. And so only when we're not getting the results that we're looking for, then we call you in so that you can help us to get those results. Ultimately, if we've already done that first step, second step, third step, would be that we would do some sort of either corporal punishment or I call it creative punishment. Depending upon the ages, we do believe in the use of a spanking, but only a biblical spanking, and we want to make sure that it's done correctly and according to the Bible standards. So when they're younger, yes, we could call you in and say, could you come in and discipline your child? And that would mean give them a spanking. We would witness that. The teacher would be there because they're the ones who are responsible for their behavior in the classroom. And you would administer the spanking. You would give them 2 spanks with a little paddle or a bigger paddle if they're older, which we don't usually spank older kids because they don't need it, but it could be necessary. This is not a required thing. If for some reason you are opposed to using that, then we can do the creative disciplining. And basically that just means you and us, we come up with some means of consequence that will teach your child the lesson they need to learn. We don't want a consequence that's gonna, like for example, we don't keep kids after school because that's a consequence that the teacher has to pay for, and you too. Now you have to pick up your first group of kids and then this one later on. So we want something that's going to be a consequence to that student. And we can be very creative. Sometimes, older students, they might need to spend a day in kindergarten doing their work independently, but with, not getting to be with their friends. That's the worst thing you could do to a high school student, right? Take them away from their friends. But that's what I mean by creative consequences for them. We do have a structured school. We do teach respect. We teach respect for every authority, especially people older than them, and also for their peers. And we have a very smooth running organization. Kids are taught to be kind, to be respectful, to love God, to love their country, to love their parents, and to actually want to make a difference in the world. That brings me to another point that we're very proud of. It's nothing about discipline, but in training your children up spiritually, we offer them a monthly opportunity to go out beyond the school classroom, beyond the school building, to go and serve in their community. What do I mean by that? We call it outreach, where we go out to reach other people. Some groups, the younger students, we have our youngest students, they are ministering to an orphanage. So they're trying to bless children who don't have moms and dads with school supplies, blankets, jackets, etc., etc. An older group might be going to a nursing home to just be company for those elderly people who have no one, paint their nails, play bingo with them, etc., etc. To some of our older kids, high schoolers who actually do some street witnessing, some praying for people in different places. We have a group that goes to a couple of the hospitals to minister to people who are ill and to the people who serve them. So that's what we call outreach, and so all the students do that. We do it once a month, and we love to have parents join us because, after all, you are our partners, right? You're not. If you've ever been in a public school, you know that you don't feel so welcome there. But here, we love to have you. We love to have you working with us, especially in things like outreach, different events that we have. We're your partners. The next thing that I do want to make sure that I go over is the financial responsibility. Now, as you may not know this, but we operate basically on school tuition. We know that, and this is great news for everybody to look forward to, soon the educational savings plan will happen in the state of Texas. It's happened in other places in the United States already, but for now, we are still operating on tuition. And until that changes in any way, then we do expect for you to pay your tuition and to pay that on time. After this meeting, you'll be given the tuition schedule, and we have lots of options for you to make it as easy as possible. We are still I'm going to say the most reasonable, but I don't just want to say that. I want to say that we are the least expensive Christian school, truly Christian school in the city, and we give you so much more for your money than most of the schools in the city. And so we are very reasonable. Why do we do that? Because we want to make sure that this is a school for every Christian student. And of course, in order to be accepted into the school, you must be a Christian. They must, if they're young, they may not have accepted Jesus as the Lord of their lives yet, but very soon after school starts, they will. We'll teach them what that's all about, and they will make a profession of faith. You prove that to us by a church letter, so we will ask you for a church letter. You might be sweating right now and saying, we don't actually go to one church, we kind of go in and out. We want to make sure that what we're teaching the children is what you're teaching the children with your own actions. And so if you don't have a church home, we want you to find one within the next 3 months after you actually enroll. So that would be a goal. I know that a lot of people do a lot of churching online, which is, not here to say that's good or bad, but do want to make sure that you know that that is one of the requirements for admission. And of course, you have any questions about that, you can discuss it with one of our principals in the next meeting. Back to the finances for just another second. There is a due date. If for some reason your tuition is not paid by the 10th of the month, then your children can't come to school until it is paid. So just be very watchful, mindful of that. All tuition is collected through a system called FACS. You're going to love FACS, and we'll have an orientation on that once you're already enrolled. but fax is the software system that we use to let parents know everything that's going on about the school. So if you think, oh, I'm just going to ignore that part, don't ignore it, because it is a great tool for you. You can, if your children are ill or you need to take a trip during the school year, this is where you find out exactly what's going on in every one of your children's classes every single day. So the teachers' lesson plans are on fax, our calendar is on fax. Everything that you need to know is right there. Any discipline measures, serious ones anyway, you're going to hear about those through fax. So be sure that you pay close attention to that. And also fax does do tuition withdrawals. So again, tuition, it's with us for now at least. Hopefully it's not a burden for you. We try to make it easy. We try to give you many options, but it does have to be paid. And you can understand why when 75% of our budget goes to pay teacher salaries. Thank God for churches like Harvest that lease their facilities to us. We are not a part of this church. We're an independent Christian school, but they lease the facilities to us during times when they would virtually just be empty. So we feel like it's great stewardship, and we love our building, and we try to take very good care of it. So those are the most important things that I feel like I would need to say to you. In the next meeting, when you meet with one of our principals, they're going to ask you, are you in agreement? Are you in agreement with being a partner with us? Are you in agreement with the vision of our school? Are you in agreement with our discipline? Are you in agreement with our financial policies? And also, they'll be very happy to answer any and all the questions that you might have. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm looking forward to meeting each one of you and your children. I don't office here at the school buildings. I have a separate office because I'm working with many schools at the same time. But it'll be my pleasure to meet with you and to ensure that what we say we provide for you, what I've said to you in this video, and of course, you'll get a student handbook, all of that later with all the details. But it's my job to ensure that we are true to the vision that God has given us for Keystone Christian Schools. And again, I pray that my words have encouraged you and also convicted you, and that you would not want anything else for your children except this great quality Christian school, which is Keystone Christian Schools.